I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.
What was the process of creating music for this band, and was it different than it was for the other bands that you've been in?
Yeah, this one's well, this one started off as, a me project and then adding people to it, where historically it was me joining someone else's project. So um I'm hoping as we are progressing and we've got the beginnings of it. It's just I had created 22 songs before Shannon and Derek joined up. So they added their flair to it, but they weren't really part of the whole process. So going forward, I definitely am going to have uh, a smaller chunk of me in it and more of everybody else.
Yeah.
Whereas in other projects, it's really just been like one songwriter, and then everyone just kind of puts their input on it. And I've never really enjoyed that process.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's how this one started. But that was because I just had a body of work already done. Um,
Yeah.
so hopefully, going forward, it's going to be a little bit different because the
Yeah.
Don and um, I'm more 90s pop punk and more melodic hardcore. Don
Yeah.
is 90s hardcore, uh, just kind of the straight hardcore. Derek
Yeah.
is really into tech metal and
Okay.
very intricate guitar work. And
Cool.
Shannon um, is like 90s alternative and kind of the funk drummer. So
Okay.
none of it really matches, but it all comes together to make something fun. So it'll
Yeah.
be it'll be far more democratic in the future, and I think it's going to be
Yeah.
a better product because it'll have more people's input on it.
Right. And I think that's a cool mix of sounds that you have going on in this band. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
So, what artists or bands inspire you when you're writing songs?
it's hard to say. If you listen to all the songs on the album, each one's got its own kind of influence.
Hmm.
Um, Having all of us in it, and having Don and I come from one background and then come from a different background, like Live With Myself definitely has a little, I mean, it's not like a tech metal song, but it definitely has a little more of those elements where it's got the hammer-ons. It's a little more,
Yeah.
there's a little more movement to it.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Towards the end of the album, there's a spoken, the last song on the album is a spoken word, kind of slow, drony song. Just
Yeah.
before that, the But Today, which is definitely more of a late 90s, early 2000s Revelation Records, like By a Thread uh, type of
Hmm.
song. Um, and then Choices is just like straight up 90s pop punk. So
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of different artists that I pull from, and there's so many different people that I have been influenced over the years by, and
Yeah.
it's fun to take so many different things and just create stuff out of it rather than be like, this is going to be a Life of Agony song, or this is going to be a Madball song, or
Yeah.
it's I like seven different bands and those are all going to get in there somehow.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. So, what has been your favorite venue to play at so far, or what venue do you really want to play at with this band sometime in the future?
um this band, i I want to play smaller venues. I've played some bigger venues in previous bands, and
Hmm.
the thing that I've always missed and that I always love about hardcore shows is you get the crowd up on stage with you, or like a wall of
Yeah.
bodies all super excited singing along with you.
Yeah.
When Far came back a number of years ago, they were playing at a really small venue in Portland called Satyricon,
Hmm.
and I've always loved everything that Joan has done. And when they played, he got me right in the eye. I guess it just happened with Guns N' Roses recently too, but
Yeah.
like right in the eye, got a huge black eye,
Oh
blood
no.
coming from it. But
Oh.
like he felt so bad, and just the look on his face, and I'm just still screaming along, and there's blood pouring out.
Oh,
And
that's
so like
crazy.
and they used to play in Chain Reaction back in California, which was a popular venue down there. And I was
Yeah.
playing a show, and I had hair at the time, and it got caught in a fan, and so like I cut my head, and again I'm bleeding and then
Oh
screaming,
no.
and it's like we're a poppy metal band, and everyone's singing, and I'm screaming, and there's blood coming out.
Blood everywhere. Uh, that's
That's
so,
the fun stuff.
yeah, that's so
But
funny.
like you just you don't get that stuff when you're playing the big shows with
Yeah.
people that are far away, and you got that barrier between everybody, and I
Yeah, it's a
you
different
can you
vibe.
could yeah, like you can go into the crowd from the stage, but like it's so
Yeah.
much more fun when everyone just rushes you, and like you're struggling to play guitar because there's someone hanging
Yeah.
on you, or there's someone sitting on the drum set. Like it doesn't sound like music anymore. It's just this chorus of people
Yeah.
singing, and
It's
like
about the energy and everything.
yeah, and that's that's what I want. And
Yeah.
however we get to that point,
Yeah.
I want people to sing along and enjoy themselves, and
Yeah.
not have any of that. I don't want to pay high prices to come see us, because
Yeah.
we're a we're like a $5 to $10 band. We're not a 60.
uh, that's funny. So, if you could collaborate with any artist or band, who would it be?
I know he'll never do it, but Pete Kowalski, Remembering Never, Ether, uh, what's his new band? Heathen Prayer,
Okay.
Bishop. Like I've admired him for so long, and he's always been such a good friend and such an amazing person. And he's another one of those people, like stuff just bears down on him. He just got over cancer.
Oh wow.
He's been in all these bands that have been so talented and just get
Mhm.
right there, but just never kind of break through. And it doesn't get him down. He just keeps going, and he's doing it for the music. And he's and again, like his music, he's got some severely negative music.
Yeah.
And but it's another one of those things where it's just like it's a journey that you share with him, and you come out better on the other side.
Hmm.
And the messages are so good, and he is such a good, like everything. He's a good songwriter, he's a good performer, he's a
Hmm.
great musician, he plays guitar. And you know
Yeah.
I I'm sure I'll bug him to do something one day, and he'll say no, but I'm going to keep trying. We have to get bigger, and then I can
Yeah.
ask him. But
Yeah. Cool.
yeah, if
I'll
I
have to
can.
check them out.
Oh man,
Sounds cool.
yeah, Remembering Never, God Save Us, like that whole album, start to finish, amazing.
Okay.
Bishop, Drug Party or Drugs, sorry. Yeah, I got a poster here somewhere. Just Ether Coven. It's it started off as he split from Poison the Well.
Okay.
And so did Remembering Never, and they were label mates with us when and I was in Loving Hero in 2005,
Hmm.
and total different style of music, but he was still nice to me, which I appreciate,
Yeah.
because
Cool.
it's during that time where everyone's such a jerk because you don't
Yeah.
sound like them.
All right.
And we've been friends since, and I just love that dude, and I wish I could win the lottery and give him money, because
Yeah.
he deserves so much.
Nice. So is there any specific gear that you use for live shows or recording that you really like, or like pedals or amps or anything?
um, I'd have. Oh, I'm not in my studio. I have a Truth Custom Drums drum set that has my son's face on it,
Oh, cool.
and his name is Atlas, and so the
Yeah.
badges is an atlas holding up the logo that says Truth Custom Drums.
Yeah.
And I have a Simpsons snare,
Yeah.
so it's
Oh,
all the
cool.
Simpsons character, and then it's got comic book guy saying "worst snare ever." Um, that
Love
thing just
that.
sounds amazing. And Shannon has a Truth set as well, and hers
Okay.
is Shannon the Cannon. So all of her badges are cannons, and it's
Oh,
like a
cool.
Wonder Woman. theme. So it's
Oh, nice.
red, blue, and gold hardware and stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
we fully endorse Truth.
Yeah.
They've been very good to us, and their stuff sounds amazing.
Nice.
Um, Derek plays Ormsby guitars, so the
Hmm.
fan neck, and he does a lot of amazing stuff that I could never do on those because he has awesome guitars.
Hmm.
I can show you some of my guitars.
Oh, sure.
Let's take a look. Martin, this isn't a Gibson, it's an Epiphone copy, but it's the 61 style with the sideways vibrato. Actually,
Okay.
let's see if I can turn this around. Yeah. Flip. There we go. There we go. I got a custom Jazz Master, a Music Man Monarchy. This thing I'm afraid to play because it's so fancy.
Yeah.
And then my
Those look really
Skid
cool.
Row 90s one, and then go to the bottom row. It's a jazz guitar, Stratocaster, Music Man Axis. This guy is really fun. This is called a, if you can see very well. So this is a hip shot. So right here, my thumb is, bar goes through to the back, and then there's another bar right there, and then this drops one of the strings from E to D. So you do this crazy hip dance, and makes the guitar sound like a steel. So it's used for kind of Hawaiian country.
Oh,
and I got another one in
interesting.
here. And I got my ghost mask. We got banjos and balalaika and all kinds of fun stuff.
Nice.
So, I mean, as I said, I've done all kinds of different type of music and I really enjoy it. So I'm really hoping to incorporate a lot more weird instruments and things.
Yeah, for sure.
Get that back to. But yeah, I mean, as far as specific things that we use, I used to play a Mesa Boogie Mark IV, and I loved that thing because it just had so much bottom end. They stopped making them and they started making what's a Mark V, but there's a very specific part of it that I hate, which is the rectifier. And tons and tons of bands use triple rectifiers and dual rectifiers, but I just don't like that sound. So I like the more 80s mid kind of crunch, which a lot of the older hardcore bands they use. And the nice thing about it is it stays right in the middle, so the bass, you can hear the bass, you can hear the drums.
Yeah,
it's just
that's good.
A lot clearer.
Yeah.
So my uncle's an amp designer.
Oh, nice.
And he did all the Marshall modifications for like Randy Rhoads and Zakk Wylde and
cool.
Eddie Van Halen back in the day.
That's
so
awesome.
he created a line, the VL series for Ampeg. So I have a VL 1002 Ampeg amp, and now he has his own Lee Jackson amplifier.
Cool.
So and then Metaltronics is his kind of metal company. So
nice.
I use his amp, and then we have a VHT Pitbull, which is the first amp I ever wanted because I saw Page Hamilton from Helmet playing it.
Okay.
And I just loved his sound, and it kind of, it's got that 90s hardcore sound because that's what they were, 90s hardcore band. So that's what we're kind of going for as far as what we want to sound like. We don't want to sound too polished. Yeah. So even even playing and even playing the poppy songs, like I still want to kind of have the good chunk in there.
Right. Yeah. So the EP was self-released, but are there any specific record labels you'd like Knelt's before to be signed to in the future? So I know you've been signed to some other labels before, like in your other bands, but would you do it with this band?
It's kind of, I mean, the music has changed so much in like the industry, and how you utilize a record label has changed. And from a record label's perspective, if the band isn't touring 365 days a year and just, working their butts off,
Mhm.
it's really difficult to sustain um, that relationship with the label. So
Yeah.
probably going to continue this route unless, something big happens. The the majority of labels that I've talked to have been like, well, we need you guys touring to promote stuff. And um, with our schedules and with the way that we initially started all this, we didn't really plan any of that. So I've been very reticent about wanting to do that.
Mhm.
But, as things are progressing, we're gaining a little bit of popularity. People are digging what we're doing, and the message that we're getting back is positive. So things are probably
Yeah.
going to change, and we'll probably kick it into another gear, and talk to people. But uh, I've always been in the mindset, especially labels, sponsors, and everything. It's a reciprocal process. So
Yeah.
label gives you money to tour, but it's because they are expecting that you are going to do something for them.
Right.
So like in Love Hate Hero, I made sure every day it was an 8 hour a day. If we weren't playing a show, we are out at malls promoting stuff, walking around, meeting people. And same with sponsorships. Like just because a company gives you a drum set or a guitar or an amp, it's not like
Mhm.
you just play it on stage. It's they just gave you something. There's a value to what they gave you. You want to make
Yeah.
sure that you give them equal value for what they're doing, because they
Mhm.
still have to, that's somebody's salary and someone put effort into
Yeah.
creating something for you. So um, I want to make sure that if I go after those things, that we have something to bring to the table that's a little more than just, you know, we created an EP, and I like the EP, and it's been a positive response for it, but
Yeah.
I think we need to be able to provide a little more value before we
Okay.
have someone commit to us.
Yeah. Cool. So, are you planning on playing live shows with Knelt before sometime in the future?
We're trying. We got to make sure that everyone's got their schedule set. We are scheduled for a festival in Portland in 2024,
Oh,
so
cool.
got some time there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's unfortunately we got together a couple of weeks ago and it was like 20 degrees up in the studio. So
Oh, yeah.
um, this time of year is not going to really be the
Yeah.
best to practicing and things.
Yeah.
But
Where are you
once the
at
new
right now? Like,
Oregon,
okay.
so I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see we had a really good frost. Well, but this is the other lovely part of where I live. It's
Okay.
just so pretty,
Yeah.
which I'm in the basement because this is the only spot that I could be, but
Yeah.
it's just, I love Oregon. I'm so happy that I left California.
Nice. Yeah, I live in the
Yeah,
suburbs
I
of
went,
Chicago, so it's like really cold right now.
oh, yeah, that's still a nice area though. I
Yeah.
like it there.
Uh,
One of the people that have been our biggest proponents, the Coffee and Hardcore, those guys live out there.
okay.
So
Cool.
it's a cool area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, once the weather improves and we start kind of getting together more, we'll probably get ourselves out there. But it's
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah. That it is. So, are there any artists or bands that you've been listening to recently that you would recommend?
Oof, there's a lot. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
super excited. Gorilla Biscuits and all those guys are coming back, and
Yeah.
I've always been an East Coast hardcore person more so than the West Coast band.
Okay.
So I've been, everything from Life of Agony, like I said, Life of Agony, Madball,
Yeah.
Sick of It All, and all those bands. Um, I really enjoy, of course, everyone likes Be Well. Um,
Mhm.
that's that's a really good one. There's a lot of good Portland bands too. J Dust.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm very snobby with my music.
Yeah.
Um, and the stuff most of the stuff that I listen to is actually whatever my son wants to listen to in the car because we work on his speech and stuff. So
Yeah.
when the second we get into the car, the first thing he wants to listen to is Paul Simon. You can call me Al. He got into Blur. He likes
Yeah.
Charmless Man from Blur, which is
Cool.
nice. They Might Be Giants, which is like a '90s
Yeah.
avant-garde kind of rock band.
Yeah, I've
He
heard of
likes,
them.
yeah. So the album Flood.
Yeah.
He likes a lot of that stuff, and then um, Cat Stevens. So once
Okay.
we get through those songs, he lets me listen to what I want,
Yeah.
and then we'll listen to like you know, Killer Be Killed. I really like. That's the Craig Pucciato, Max Cavalera, those guys.
Hmm.
Um, so
Cool.
yeah, I like Beasts in Black, like power metal,
Yeah.
funny
Power metal's
uh,
great.
Power Wolf,
Yeah.
a
Nice.
little bit of everything.
Yeah. So where can our listeners find your music?
Well, thankfully, we hooked up with Earache, which is a record label out of the UK. So Earache started a distribution side. So Earache
Mhm.
Distro has us in like 30 or so different outlets. So we're just about everywhere, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Spotify, Deezer, Amazon, Apple. It was really funny. There was I can't remember what band it was. There was a band that was a pretty popular band that was putting these posts out on Instagram that they were so excited they finally got on Pandora. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, we got on Pandora. I didn't realize that was a difficult platform to get onto, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I,
Earache's
I don't
really
really know how
helped
that
us.
works, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks to Earache, we're pretty much all over the place. And then physical distribution we have through Wrecking Crew out of Canada. So
Okay.
we're getting it out there.
Nice. So before we go, is there anything else you'd like to plug or mention, like social media or anything?
In the next couple of months, we're going to have that split that I was talking about coming out with Axids. So
Okay.
it's AXIDS. They're out of Germany. Really cool band. And that's going to be, we're going to do a physical split. We're going to cover one of each other's songs, do an original, and then do a cover song. And our cover song that we've decided on is The Bird and the Bee, Spark. I don't know if you've heard
Okay.
The Bird and the Bee. It's
No, I don't think so.
oh, beautiful music. So it's Nara George, who's a jazz singer, and then I think his name is Greg Kinner. It's Greg K. So he's
Okay.
a producer. He does all of those Hanukkah sessions with Dave Grohl. Um,
Okay.
so he's the piano player, and he's
Yeah.
produced Peaches and all these bands, but they
Yeah.
make just the most amazing music. And so they have a song called Spark. So we're going to cover that one. So look for that one. It should be pretty
Cool.
fun. And we I had Axids redo the lyrics to take out all the cussing, so it will
Yeah.
still be family friendly on our side of the disc.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. I had a good time talking with you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I had fun too. Thank you.
All
Have a
right.
good
Talk
one.
to you later. All right, you
Bye.
too.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya.